Hey guys, it's Triathlon Matt here, and today in this video I'm going to give you an overview of some of the diet changes I've made around my training, moving from being a high carb monster onto a low carb diet and then finally onto a ketogenic diet. Let's take a look. To give you some background, I've been training around intermittent fasting for a while now, so that will see generally sort of 16 to 20 hours between meals, and I usually train in a fasted state of around that sort of time. So ending a 16-hour fast with a training session, having something to eat, and then maybe for breakfast, and then maybe 6 hours later doing another training session, something like that. 6 to 8 hours later, another training session from there. That's been pretty useful for my training to get away from the dependencies on carbs. Real benefit there is knowing you can turn up to a half marathon or something like that without breakfast in you and get around okay. I actually PB'd at Stroud Half Marathon on about sort of 16 to 18 hour fast, so that was pretty cool. And now it just seemed like the next logical step to move from my traditional high carb diet to a low carb diet. So I cut out the bread and the pasta and things like that, and I've actually gone to a full keto diet as well. If you're thinking of trying it, it's going to be worth transitioning that way and making some swaps. Things like fruit, I've swapped for vegetables. Porridge, I've swapped for like a low carb almond flour and ground flaxseed option with unsweetened almond milk. I recommend the Owl Pro variety because it's got no carbs in it at all. So that helps. One note, it is tough to get into a keto diet because you've got to generally go under 50 grams of carbs a day, and that's going to take the kitchen scales coming out and a fair bit of specific food weighing to make sure you don't go over that limit. Other things that I've been eating is a fair bit of cheese, high fat stuff, as well, creme fraiche, that sort of stuff, as well as some lower carb nuts like Brazil nuts and walnuts. They're pretty good. Some of the nuts you've got to watch, like cashews, are actually quite high in carbs, which is quite surprising. So yeah, you really got to dial down. So how's it gone? First of all, getting into the ketogenic diet has been pretty tough. I experienced the fatigue that people mention, and around that I found that the electrolyte tablets you can get help. They tend to need quite a lot of magnesium and potassium in them, more so than like the sort of hydro sport tabs that you get. So if you're thinking of going low carb or keto, it's definitely worth having a look at the electrolyte tablets before you start, I think, or as you transition to low carb and then keto. That should help you get through what's known as keto flu, where you feel a bit fatigued, which I definitely experience and still do to a degree. I think the benefit there is you move away from any sort of feeling of hangry or low blood sugar levels. Though in fairness, the intermittent fasting protocol pretty much helps resolve that, still on a carb diet anyway, so not too much of a benefit there. In terms of my training, to get to the point, I've noticed a drop out on my top end sort of tempo speed stuff. That's definitely dropped, yet my endurance sort of biking and running has really come on and taken well to the keto diet. Main benefit there that I've seen was recently I made a century ride of just over 100 miles, and I actually did that going through the 24-hour fast point. So I had lunch about 1 o'clock, 1:30 the day before, set off on this ride at just after 11 o'clock, so went through the 24-hour period without having eaten anything, and actually made just over 17.5 miles average speed, which is a pretty good lick. You know, it's not blistering, yet it's one of my sort of decent enough times over that duration, and to have not eaten anything for 24 hours, taken no food on board, and just had plain water on the bike. Wow, that was really amazing. I didn't think that was possible, so that was a real benefit. As I say, the more intense stuff has dropped off a bit, and I've actually done some tests on that this week. Last week in ketosis, I did a 10-mile time trial on the bike on Wednesday and a 10k run on Thursday, all at sort of tempo race pace. Then this week, at breakfast time, I actually broke the sort of ketogenic diet and got stuck in with a nice big bowl of porridge, good bit of carbs in it. Again, good quality carbs though. Didn't mention that before, sorry. Although I generally had a high carb diet, they were good quality whole grain versions of carbs, so that's worth noting as well. If you are on a carb diet, move away from white stuff to wholemeal stuff generally, and you're probably going to get benefits there anyway. So onto the times. So last week on the time trial bike, compared to this week, I was actually nearly a minute quicker on carbs, so you can see there's potentially a benefit, although the weather was actually a lot nicer today. I think that warm weather might have helped. Moving on to the 10k tempo effort run, I was actually 30 seconds slower this week on carb breakfast than my usual keto breakfast, so maybe it's quicker for biking but not so much for running, although again the hot weather on the running, maybe that makes it a little bit harder. So I'm not sure if the external conditions actually influence that. Yet overall, I'd definitely say that carbs are probably the way to go for sort of sprint distance events. If you're looking at going long for Ironman, those sort of distances, I'll definitely take a look at trying low carb. Probably worth factoring it in early season or late season to see how you get on with it. And as I say, it's going to be worth the transition time to go from normal carb diet to low carb to a sort of ketogenic under 50 grams of carbs per day diet. So there we have it. This has been my keto experience. Overall, for endurance stuff, yeah, I'm amazed at what I've been able to achieve with the distance work that I've done on the bike in a fasted state, and still keeping a decent lick at times. So hope this video has been of use if any of you are thinking about changing your diet to a lower or keto diet plan, or maybe having a go at intermittent fasting. Any questions, pop a comment down below, and it'd be great to engage with you there. Other than that, happy training, and hopefully the triathlon season will get back to normal once we're through the current coronavirus issues. So to end this video, please do stay happy, healthy, and I hope to see you out there soon.